Oh, I think it just wherever you're at in this business, just like keep an open mindset, because I know I talked about it before, and it's not all about the money, but it's like at the end of the day, I didn't even know like it existed, to be able to make, residually all sorts of, money from helping more people, so like.
What's going on, guys? Austin Zaback here with another episode of the Austin Zaback Show. Today, we have a very special guest. This is somebody from my internal team. Known him for a very long time. He is actually now the sales manager, and I feel like his title should be cooler than that because he does a lot more than just that. But for our retail team, okay, the Zaback Group, he's been an agent for probably, I think, a little bit longer than I've been an agent.
Yep.
And I've been an agent for, what, 8 years?
Yeah, just 8 years.
8 years.
9 years almost.
Yeah. And he sold hundreds of homes. He's worked with multiple different brokerages, multiple different teams, including OfferPad, and really had a ton of success in the real estate industry at a really young age. So if you are looking to get into real estate, you're a real estate agent, you want to sell more houses, whatever in real estate, this will be the podcast for you. Make sure you stay to the very end. Dylan Phillips, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Doing phenomenal, man. So let's dive into, obviously kind of fill everybody in on who you are and kind of, just like where you came from and how you got into real estate. So you've been in real estate for what, 8 years now?
Yep, 8 years going on 9. First like 6 years in the business, I was with 6 different brokerages. So, kind of just hopped all over the place really at the beginning, tried to learn as much as I could, as quickly as I could. Started off doing, some smaller deals all over town, just kind of like learning the way of the roads and figuring out kind of how everything works as far as like a transactional level. Then from there, I thought it'd be smart to get into like a little bit more of a luxury space, do a little bit higher sales volume and all that stuff. So moved on over to a team at the brokerage. And then from the brokerage, I just got a, they coached me, helped me learn, showed me the roads. And then from there, I started to realize pretty quickly that it was just all about like how many people you could help, right? So from there, I wanted to get in touch with as many people as I possibly could, right? So I went to a company with the most data possible. That company, OfferPad. So, and really not for like any like internal thing, but it's just really for like my own like knowledge, so I started to learn really quickly, after I talked to 100 people a day. I was only there for about like 6 months, but through and through they all want the same thing. They all want something different. They want to be helped. They want to be shown, a couple of different options, and so really, really consistently, I got the same objection. So I'm like, the industry is due for a change, and then moved from there to start like another really small brokerage, but tried the whole like flat fee thing. Like, we list your home for 1%, learned real quickly, why not to do that. And then from there, like that office was right down the hall from yours basically. So that's where, we got connected, and then, one thing led to another, and here we are. So
yeah, here we are today, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
We've been working together for quite a while now. And we've had multiple offices together and really done a whole lot. Fast forward now, we have obviously One Roof, the company, and we're really growing now. We're really scaling. We're implementing a lot of new, technology and infrastructure. We're getting a lot of agents on board. We obviously switched brokerages, which we'll talk about all of this here in a little while, so everybody up to stay to the end of the video. But I want to talk a little bit more about kind of what you just talked about, and then we'll obviously kind of go into what we're doing today. But, when you worked at OfferPad, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind, at least, is like, what did you learn from that experience? Obviously, OfferPad is how would you describe OfferPad? Are they just a massive home buying company? I mean, what is like their thing?
Yeah, so it's they're called an iBuyer, right? So the I could mean many things as far as intelligent or internet or whatever, but in essence, like they're just trying to find a new way to transact real estate, right? So they saw the same thing as I saw when I was in there. These are some really strong-headed real estate guys that own this company, and they saw the same thing. People want some help with selling their house. They want to know how they can sell it for the most amount of money in the least amount of time by doing the least amount of work. So, they saw this shift happening in the marketplace, and, there they were, and OfferPad was born. So, and then generally it's just how many people, same, concept as all of us in business start to see. It's like, how many more people can we help?
Yeah.
And really quickly they saw, there's a market for this and there's a model for this. So, But while I was there, it was literally just that same experience, but it was basically just how many people can we help, and how can we do it the best way possible.
So they're a volume company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, all day long. Yeah.
So you did a lot of volume when you were there.
Yeah.
We've talked numbers before, and what was your primary role when you were there?
So the role I was in was called a solutions, I was called a homeowner consultant there. So I was the front line, so once people would inquire to sell their property to OfferPad, or they wanted to get an offer, I would be the guy that would call them and run them through the offer, right? And talk them through the pros and the cons of, maybe listing the house or selling it to another investor or whatever it might be, kind of educate them just a little bit on the process. And, some people are ready to fire off and sell you the house today and get the contract done. Other people, it was a nurture thing. You nurture them for 3, 4, 5 months and get the deal down the road. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Those big iBuyers, it's so interesting to look at the Open Doors and the OfferPads and their business model, and just, how big they are, and they're behemoth of a company,
Oh yeah.
And I think it's cool that you have, what I love about you and what I've always loved about you is you have all this experience, right? And so, you've been at the different brokerages. You've been at the boutique, right? You've been like the brokery, the very boutique, they specialize in a particular area, and they're very brandy, very trendy, right? And then you've been, the opposite of that, being like an OfferPad. And then you've also done like the discounted, stuff. And I think that's, it gives you a lot of insight into the real estate world, and I think, listeners and viewers can get a lot of value from that. I've gotten a lot of value from that over the years, just, having that insight. Because for me, I was with one brokerage, and then obviously, as we both moved brokerages together. So now I'm at my second brokerage ever, and I never had a reason to change, but I think there's value in the fact that you did. If our current organization was not, you weren't allowed to choose our current organization, of all of the brokerages or companies that you've worked with in the past, which one was your favorite? If you couldn't choose ours.
I couldn't choose ours.
Yeah.
Geez, that's a tough one. Probably, the brokery all day long.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
And talk to me about the brokery a little bit, because they're kind of a cool brand. I mean,
sure.
what are they? I mean, are they? I see them as like this boutique kind of brokerage.
Yep.
And I might be wrong, but they specialize in Arcadia, Biltmore. I'm not entirely sure. Do they? What exactly did they do when you were there?
So when I was there, a couple of things led up to that point, right? So when I was going luxury, I wanted to, get the higher price point per sale. I was just gravitating towards the biggest luxury seller of them all. I went to the Robert Joffe, and from there I actually got referred into the brokery. And it's the reason I was going into the brokery was not only for a higher sales volume, but it was also the neighborhood I lived in at the time. So, I wanted to be a local brokerage, a local expert, know my area. Because at the previous brokerage I was at, I was all over town. I was spread super thin. I'm spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day driving, showing buyers all over different areas. I wasn't necessarily confident in any of these areas. I generally knew, kind of what I'm looking at, obviously, and what we're selling, but I was never I never had all the answers I wanted to have. I didn't know much about the schools. I didn't know where the hospital was. I wouldn't know what the best restaurant is in that neighborhood, right? And I was a lot more confident by joining a brokerage that was, stabled right in the middle of our neighborhood at the time. But yeah, so that was basically the whole brokerage model. They got into the lobby of the Biltmore Hotel originally, and it was formerly Biltmore's Lifestyles Real Estate. And, they kind of evolved from that brand into another, and they found a piece of land right in the middle of, Arcadia Light, and built a really, really cool office right there. And that was just it's an incredible marketing piece for that brand, right? So I saw that as an agent. I saw a cool brand. I saw a cool movement happening. That's small, and you have to be invited in, it wasn't, anybody and everybody come on in and join, so that was the part to me that stuck out the most. And that's basically exactly why I joined there. But, it just gave a newer agent a lot of credibility in a market that's incredibly difficult to get into. So
Phoenix is an incredibly difficult market. We talk to people every day. I do phone calls, you do phone calls, and I talk to, wholesalers, investors from all over the country. And anytime Phoenix gets brought up in the equation, I'm always like, man, like, like I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, I think he lives in Phoenix, but he was trying to market in a couple of different states, like virtually wholesale, right? And he was asking me, I was like, dude, honestly, like, I was like, hit Phoenix, but like I would hit some of those other markets too, because I'm just like, dude, like Phoenix is a tough market, and you can play in Phoenix, don't get me wrong, but like, dude, you got to have thick skin. You got to have resilience. Like, you really got to like play the long game. Yeah. Nobody really, I've never seen anybody like really break into the Phoenix market and just blow it out of the park like real quick. Very few and far between, you know. So, dude, that's really interesting. So now, obviously, here we are today. We, when you came over, we were in the old office. We were building the Zaback group, which is the retail team. And then, obviously, we had our, the Cash for House. Everything was kind of separate, right?
Right.
And then as of recently, we've built the One Roof kind of brand, right? And One Roof is really the idea of providing solutions to, for everything, right? We have like what we call the solution center, and we, basically are serving the homeowner and giving them options, as opposed to being a one-trick pony where it's like, hey, we can list your house, or it's like the opposite of that, like we can give you a cash offer. Most people don't do it all, right? They might refer it out, but like if a lead is like, hey, I don't want to list, and they don't understand the investing world, then that's either a dead lead or they refer it out, right? And with us, we said, well, wait a minute, we're already kind of doing it all. Like let's do a rebrand, name it One Roof. And really the idea of that is that we have everything underneath one roof, right? And we do multiple different things. Externally, consumer facing, but also internally, we cross-train all of our people to understand all of the different vertically integrated aspects of the real estate industry. What, like, in your opinion, do you see like that going? I mean, where do you see that going? Obviously, this is new, but here we are in the show. May as well ask in real time live, like, what are you excited about it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about it. I mean, I've never been like more bought in, I've been with all these different companies, and it's always been like the me show. So that's how I've always felt at every brokerage, whether you're on a team or you're solo or whatever, it was always like, okay, how can I, evolve me and get me to the next level, right? And it was always me. So, I just got super sick of that eventually, right? And that's why, I partnered up with you. Just similarly, I saw data, I saw somebody that's in the space, that's young, that's hungry, that's excited, and then like over time, like I just knew at that point in time, like we just needed to be patient. Like we always say it in-house, but it's just a matter of time, we just got to close more deals. So, that's always been super exciting, but here it's like I've been surrounded by a group of people where, we all have the same long-term vision. We're all super aligned. And it's never like about anybody, one individual, like solely, like it's about all of us as an organization. And that's where I feel like we've seen, this rapid growth occur in our company. Last year we did 25-30 million, I think, as just like a smaller traditional team that wasn't really like pumping out a whole lot. And that's not a small number. Like that's a good sales volume for sure. Considering I think we had like 4 or 5 agents for majority of the year last year, but nothing too crazy. But then like this year, we just had our meeting this morning. We're at 72 million, closed year to date right now. So that's a big number. So like, what I'm excited about is like watching us get to the, the big, accolades, I guess you could call them, and the big, numbers here, but like crossing $250 million, $500 million, and, making our way to $1 billion a year company. So, to be transacting $1 billion in sales and, managing, groups of 20, 30, 40, 50 people all at once and training and guiding, it's a lot of moving parts, but because now it's not about me anymore. Now it's like, it's about everybody else. And as long as everybody else is winning, we're all winning as an organization and a company. Yeah, so, agreed. That's where I can see like, this thing really, really going far.
I completely agree with everything you just said. You said something a little while ago I want to touch on, and that is like the culture and what we've built, and it being, the energy and the people and just, doing it together and everybody winning together and the vibrations and all of that. Like, how important do you think, we talk to agents all the time, right? That, I think agents, like, is it more important in your opinion? I'll rephrase the question. Is it more important to go to a team or a brokerage where like they get the best split or the best cap or the best like whatever? Or is it more important for an agent to go to a team or a brokerage where it's the best culture fit it's truly like they're in alignment with like their values and like the team or brokerage they're joining, and like there's like collaboration, all the things you just mentioned. Like, because I feel like more often than not, agents just want the lowest cap, right? They want the lowest split, and they don't factor in what you just mentioned. Like, how important do you think that is?
Oh, extremely important. So, and we talked to a lot of agents, like you said. So everybody's different, so like, but like for the agents that it is the me show, it's like, great, run with it, keep doing your thing. You're going to do 5, 10, 15 deals a year, whatever you're going to do. If like that's where you want to be and you're happy doing that, then like, excellent. So like, it's really like a matter of what's most important for them as the agent, so like I'm a big advocate of just like unpacking what people's goals are. And everybody's goals slightly different in their own way. Personally, as far as like splits go and everything, like I've always been on splits. So it's never like, oh, I sell a $300,000 house, I get $9,000 like every time, it was never, then that number was never there for me. So it's a little bit easier, I guess, in my head to like kind of divulge a split. But for the agents that are at these 100% companies, like you keep all your money, it's like they're letting you keep all of your money because they're not really like doing anything for you. They kind of just give you a platform to produce on. They don't really help you produce anymore. They don't care if you produce more or less. It's like at the end of the day, like,
E&O insurance and a place to hang your
exactly.
deal. Yeah.
So like for people that's like breaking down some numbers, it's like if you're on a team and you're giving them 50% of your deal that like you work hard for and you have to go out and like fight for that one deal and that's your closed deal and you're giving half of your money away, but they're not really doing anything for you, yes, you are wasting your money. But if you're joining a team where the team gives you all of your opportunity or most of it and guides you and trains you and helps you like, deal with the day to day and, how this business works, then, the splits start to make a lot more sense. Cause I'd rather get, 20% of something than, 0% of nothing, cause now I'm getting paid way more consistently. And it's like, now whether I'm here or not here, we're all doing this together and my phone's ringing and we're all, all the agents are out there doing their own deals in their own way. And everybody's just like winning on their own level. Really what's important, and like the consistency too. So you don't go make the $9,000 check, but now you're scrambling for the next 90 days to go find your next $9,000 check.
Right. Cause you just became the last 90 days, you were a transaction coordinator and a showing agent and you were the everybody, right? Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're not doing lead generation anymore because you're a solo agent, right? Yep. Working at 100% brokerage where there's no value, So I totally agree with you. I think that, we live in a world now where like, there's a lot of like stuff that I see in the real estate industry where I'm like, man, like, I think people got it all backwards. I was always told that you can go fast alone, but you can go far with people. And I really believe that to this day. And similar to you, I've always been one to give up revenue, revenue splits, commission splits, caps, whatever I got to do to be around people that I enjoy being around and to work in an environment where it is a lot of fun and we have fun and we do whatever we do on a day-to-day basis. So what? I go get 100% of my commission, but I hate my life.
Right.
I mean, is that really the answer? And like you said, I mean, the agents have to ask themselves that question, right?
Yeah.
But I think it is definitely a question that they have to ask. And I think that it's more complex than just, when you're a new agent or whatever, you're thinking about switching, like it's not just the split and the cap that you should be honed in on. It's the whole picture, like you said, right? What does the lead generation look like? What's the training? What's the coaching? What's the support? Do they have a physical office you can go to? Do people show up to that physical office? Like I've met agents in the past where they're like, yeah, I have a physical office. I'm like, and when you go there, who's there?
Right.
And they're like, well, nobody goes there. Or like there's this old girl named Sally and she sits at the back. Like it's like, well, that's not valuable.
Right.
So what you're saying is you get free air conditioning, right? It's like you may as well go to Starbucks, Yeah. So like in an office like ours, not only do we have the office and we have everything, but dude, we've got 30, 40, 50 people, however many people show up, phenomenal energy, phenomenal culture from all walks of life, and everybody's down to help everybody. And what's that worth?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's priceless.
It's priceless, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you, man. So what are the main things that, like, if you're an agent joining a new team or a new brokerage, like if you just had to keep it simple, right? And we just pretty much mentioned them, but I'm curious to like hear it broken down. Like if you had to say maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 top things that you would be looking for in a team or a brokerage, what would those things be? It could be a printer. I mean, what, in your opinion though, what would they be?
Yeah. Well, I think like the first and foremost thing to like point out that, I mentioned this to agents all day long. It's like I think a lot of the traditional teams like are honestly like broken because what I found, at least in my experience on all the different teams I was with, is like generally, your team lead or your, which would be by definition your boss or your mentor or your broker, whatever you want to call them. But oftentimes those people are so busy trying to sell real estate because the team's not that profitable. So like the problem was for me is like if I went out and like joined a team and I'm a brand new agent or I've got a couple deals under my belt or whatever, and now I've got a question at 8 o'clock at night when like something's going on, right? And so I was just never able to necessarily like get in touch with the right people at the right time. And like there's always like a broker hotline, but like when you want some like real like honest like true like help and care with your deals, it's like you don't want to necessarily be calling them. You want to be calling your team lead, the sales managers. So like all these teams that are out there today that are like coaching us and mentoring us, it's like we all have generally the same structure, and that's where we see these big like production shifts. So like first and foremost, it's just the connection, right? So like our connection, we personally don't do a whole ton of like personal production on the market anymore, but a lot of that's because we're just giving a lot of our resources, our time and our energy back to our team and our personal deals, even back out to our team. So, it's like because we want to be available to answer these questions and be available and around to help them train and not, out there frantically panicking to go collect my next, 3% commission somewhere. So it's just like the connection. I think that's like really, first and foremost. And then second, it's like, the culture and the people on the team. Like, how do you align with the group that you're joining? Naturally, a lot of our team is really young and like hungry, and generally we all get connected through the internet, and that's how we've created a really cool culture. Whereas some of these other teams I might have been on in the past, it's like, I might be the youngest guy in the room by far. And like, there's specific reasons why, I might have done that at the time. But, it's just like someone that's 20 years old watching this right now is going to go out and get their real estate license that's looking for a good team to join. What I hear time and time again when we talk to agents is, yeah, I didn't do enough research. I just went and joined because like they feel like flattered when they get offered, a role at a brokerage.
Team
and I did the same thing, and I learned the same lesson, and you're going to do what you're going to do. But it's like, don't be like flattered when you get someone like wants you to join their team, because everybody's hunting your commission one way or another.
For sure.
So, and especially if they're like, yeah, like I'll help you, I'll train you, and, we'll take 50% of your commission too. But like now you got to go out and get your own deals, and like they don't hold up their value to the deal, right? So
alignment.
Yeah, I think those are like the main things. Obviously having an office space to show up to, but really, really the people and your mentor in a sense. Like you need to have a mentor, whether you've done 10 deals or 25 deals. Like I still have questions on my deals.
For sure, I do too.
Yeah, I mean
I call you. I'm like, but that's the truth. Like we all call everybody. You're always gonna have to rely on somebody.
Yeah.
I believe at every stage in life we should have a mentor. That is a little bit ahead of us. Somebody that we can lean on and ask for help, have guidance. I mean, I think it's important for anybody. And I think for whatever reason, real estate agents sometimes think that they don't fit the criteria of that.
Right.
But man, I agree with you, dude. I think that the alignment thing, wow, like that's a big one. And I think people massively undervalue that. Like they put other things above that on their checklist when they're looking at joining a team or a brokerage. It's like they have all this other stuff, and then alignment's like at the bottom, right? And they're like, well, hopefully we're aligned, and like, well, but you said it best. It's like the amount of people we talk to where they're 20 and the average age of everybody else in that team or brokerage is 65. It's like you're not going to be that aligned. Like you can't be. I mean, none of them understand. Like you're totally disaligned, right? Like it's like they don't get social media. You do. To them, like they're dinosaurs, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're probably selling a bunch of real estate, but they built their book of business for 35 years. They did it differently, right? And the world has changed and evolved. So in order for you to be in business at their age, you've got to do it a little differently, Yep. And so you've got to be around people doing it differently.
Right.
So valuable. I absolutely love that. And that kind of leads into like the next thing. We obviously, mentioned a little while ago that we switched brokerages, right? And that brokerage is EXP, obviously. And when we did that, everybody was skeptical, right?
Yeah.
I was skeptical. You were skeptical. to the point where like I basically said no for a long time. You said no. We didn't even really give it the time of day. We didn't look at it really, right? We got pitched it a million times, like maybe somebody listening or watching right now. And then I believe 2020, when was it actually? 2021?
Yeah.
Or
2021.
2021, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sometime in 2021, I think it was like February, March, something like that, we started like actually looking at it. And then, after we really started to look at it with an open mind, there were so many pillars of that company, of EXP, that we had never seen before in the regular brokerage or team model really at all, that were like, wow, like this is like really awesome, and then it got to a point where it's like, we always say like, you can't unsee it, right? Like once you've seen it, you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like, dude, we got to go, we got to move, and it was time to move. And in my opinion, it was a phenomenal decision. I believe we made an incredible decision. But we were just talking about like culture and all that. So how do you see, obviously we run a team, right? Mm-hmm. A fairly large team now. We're growing obviously still. How do you see like EXP playing into like everything you were kind of just talking about as like the broker where we hang our licenses and all of our team hangs theirs, playing into the culture and everything like that we just mentioned? Deal Machine is one of the ways that we're able to drive around any neighborhood throughout the entire country and in real time figure out the contact information of the owner's property. It's how we organize everything and how we send our entire team out to drive for dollars. This is a phenomenal way if you're looking to get your first wholesale deal on a budget, or if you're doing multiple wholesale deals a month. I really do believe in Deal Machine, and we've gotten over 100 deals driving for dollars. If you want to go ahead and sign up for a 7-day free trial, just go ahead and go to www.topd4d.com and make sure to use the promo code Zaback. Now let's go ahead and get back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's like basically the same thing, right? So where I'm looking for like a team lead as like an agent joining the team. Similarly, as a team lead, I'm looking for a leader that's leading a group in our brokerage, right? So like with EXP, and like, we were talking about it yesterday, but immediately getting in there, like even getting our foot in the door, we were leveling up our network 10x, like just right off the bat, because before it's like we're out of my home group and it's great. And, we know the owners, whatever, it's like we know this guy, that guy, but at the end of the day, they weren't there to like connect and collaborate with us. There was no alignment, right? Like we know each other, we're buddies, we could drink a beer on the weekend, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's like they're not really there to like help you scale and grow your business. And they're not pouring into your business every day on some level to get you to your next level, right? So what I saw, it's like, dude, the first time we looked at EXP, like I remember I was sitting at my desk, you're like, what do you think about EXP? EXP Realty, 80-20 split, no way.
Yeah. First thing.
I'm like, no way. I was like, why would we? We're on 100% split right now. But because I assumed that EXP offered the same thing as our other broker, right? So I'm like, why would we give 20% away? If we're not getting anything in return, we've got a great split right here, but then it's like immediately as we start to give it a little bit of the time of the day, and we started talking to a few different organizations and start seeing what they're doing, how they're doing it, how they're running their team, and even what they're willing to share with us before we do anything was already, to me, way more valuable than anybody else that shared anything in our current brokerage or our previous brokerage. So, like we were looking for the exact same thing, but on a slightly different level. And like for us as like leaders of our organization, like now, our agents will thank us for that, right? Because some people, and I'm part of the, mentorship program and stuff. So we get people coming into our inner circle now that are, just went and signed up under whoever, however, and, we have different access to different things, right? So we very, very strategically chose the group that we chose because we were focused on aligning with the right group of people. We weren't just going to go to whoever, wherever, and thankfully we did because now it's like these people are our inner circle, and now we can tap into people that are doing $1 billion a year, $2 billion a year. And not just one or two people. This is groups of 60, 70 people like across the nation, right, that are sharing best practices, what they're doing, what tech they're using, what lead gen they're on, what's working in different places all over the world even. So, the alignment and the culture
and
is like
one pillar.
Everything. Yeah, everything
that's
is there.
What's crazy, right? Is like we talk about EXP, and that was like that one pillar alone. And we talk to people every day where it's like, I'm like, dude, if you literally threw all the other pillars in the trash can, right? The revenue share, the stock, the healthcare, the freaking metaverse, like all of it, right? The vertically integrated stuff that, Glenn Sanford is working on, right? Like eventually, the title and the mortgage and the whole thing. I mean, where they're going, the vision, right? If you threw all that in the trash and you just looked at the collaboration and the mentorship and just the pure like amount of success and abundance, like everybody's got that abundant mindset of, dude, I'll show you everything because they have a benefit to do so.
Right.
It's the only model in the real estate industry where it is actually beneficial for me to give all my secrets away to everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's never existed before.
Yep.
Before it's all competition. It's like, why would I want to help you?
Right.
You're my direct competition. Like I don't want to open my playbook, right? Even if we're homies, like, and we're on a different deal, it's like, bro, like we're homies. Like let's, like you said, let's go grab a beer. But like me just giving you my playbook, like I don't know about that,
Yeah.
So I completely agree, man. And then obviously you've got all these other, things and these other pillars, which we can talk about if you do. Like I think, people look at EXP and they look at the revenue share and they're like, oh, it's all MLM, right? And you mentioned it a minute ago. Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit more. But when we joined EXP, I did Zoom calls with a lot of different organizations within the brokerage, right? Yep. And what we were looking for was that we wanted to find people that were heavy hitters, not just at recruiting, because there was a lot of recruiters that were making $300,000 a month, right? Yep. But nobody was producing nobody was selling any real estate, and it's like, well, like what the heck, like how are you making the revenue share if nobody's selling any real estate, right? And so then we looked and looked and looked, and we wanted to find somebody that was good at recruiting, and attracting is a better word, but also they were heavy hitting producers.
Yep.
And like you touched on that a little bit, but like how important do you think that is? Because we see people all the time that they name the wrong sponsor when they join this particular brokerage, and that ends up hurting them.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it is a really crazy thing, but when we were searching out our team, it's, and the first part about the revenue share is like, it's not one of those companies where, you sign up and you're on auto delivery for, $37 as a Tupperware every month and like, good luck selling them, so it's not one of those companies. Like, and that's where people typically just get misled. And like you were saying, there's all these different pillars in the company. There's all these different opportunities. And it's like, now when we're talking to agents, we can lean on the other people in our organizations that are producing so heavily, to where like we're not even really talking about the revenue share aspect, like until like way down the road, right? And again, it's another pillar to add to your business eventually. But remember, with the revenue share, like no one gets paid, and there's no revenue unless people sell real estate. Yep. So that's why, like obviously revenue share is a very important part of like being a brokerage and, owning a part of a brokerage, and, you want to be profitable and you want to get some residual income. But it's like, if you attract people just to attract people and you don't know how to teach them how to sell any real estate, you're never going to get any revenue share. Right. And with the agent attraction side of the business, it's going to be really, really hard as an agent to attract anybody to want to join your organization, your team, if you're not selling any real estate. Right. So we want to.
You're not attractive.
Yeah. It's like, what do we, come join me, come join my team and sell real estate. But I don't do any, but these guys do. Right. Yeah. So like, it's like, how can they tap in? And of course there's ways like, the company's creative enough, and through like, getting lucky, I guess, but joining the right downline in that sense, like, yeah, you're still going to get a ton of help and support. And the brokerage is like absolutely amazing, whether you have no sponsor or, anybody in the company, because you'll tap into us at a broker level. What's important to know about we have 80,000 agents. We're in 20 plus countries.
I think we're at like now. We might be at 90 now.
Yeah. Well,
at the time of making this video.
Yeah. So it's like, if I don't check it for a month, there's about 10,000 more.
For real.
So, but yeah. So like, there's all these cool little opportunities that are involving of that. But at the at the end of the day, it's just you got to get in, and like there's a reason why there's all these agents leaving these other brokerage models and coming here, and it's like because in the past the playbook's kind of been closed off, and it's like even your broker won't tell you how to go. Sure. They'll be like, oh yeah, go sit open houses. I was told to sit open houses for 2 years before I got a deal. Yeah. So it just there's parts of this business like you got to connect with people that are crushing it, and through these types of company, like you tend to get connected really quickly with high producing individuals that are willing to show you the playbook, because you both win together.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I think you're 100% right. I think the pillar of revenue share is just an additional piece, an additional component to somebody's business. At the end of the day, the idea is to sell real estate, right? Collaboration is really big because you can learn. Information is king, right? The more people that I have in my, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. So if you join an organization where all the 5 people you're constantly talking to are on a Zoom call with, or in Dallas at a Tony Robbins event or whatever, are balling out, like odds are at some point you're going to ball out. You're going to sell a bunch of real estate, right? And to your point, when you sell a bunch of real estate, everybody's going to be like, whoa, like, how are you doing that, right? And that's where the attraction model comes into play, because you could be at any brokerage in the world, go ball out, and people are going to ask you how you're doing it.
Right.
And you're going to say, well, here's how I'm doing it, right? And so like at Keller Williams or wherever, that person now joins, and there's no benefit to me. Like we've talked about that before. Over the course of however many years at these other brokerages, like me and you, we probably accidentally, attracted 30, 40, 50, who knows how many people, right? And I never got paid a dime for that. Like I never had any incentive to really help them, or my only incentive was to have a conversation with them at some point, and I didn't even know they joined half the time.
Right.
Like a year later, it's like, oh, you're with my brokerage now. You know what I mean? So I love it, dude. Is there anything else that you love now? We've been with EXP for a while. Obviously, I feel like I really believe, by the way, that like it's the best brokerage on the planet. Yeah. And I know you do too. Are there any other things that you've seen that are like, you're like, after being with them for a while, where you're like, man, like that's freaking cool? I mean, there's so many things, obviously, but is there anything else you can think of that you're really like, wow, like this is a game changer? Yeah,
I mean, like first and foremost, like your network in this business is definitely the most important aspect of it. So like, for me, like I know I said it before, but again, it's like leveling up that network like is a must do in this business. So like whether you're a solo agent or you're looking to join a team or whatever it might be, like really look into this type of stuff. But now like you can pay attention to these guys, like really like actually dominating it, and now they have an interest to help you. Whether, it's like you don't have to necessarily like go to them and go sign up through them, but the way, part of this way this thing works is now you've got 7 layers of business partners essentially that are going to benefit from you, and everybody that you attract little small portions of their deal that, the revenue that goes back into the company. Yeah. So I think the revenue share is one of the parts that really like is mind opening for me. Because like in the past as an agent, you start thinking about someone that's like crushing it in the business, doing 10, 15, 20 million a year. And it's like, start to do the math, they're making 300, 600 grand a year. It's like, great. But, through this company, again, there's 80, 90,000 people. And we hear story after story after story. Like one guy, just fell off a ladder one year and broke his neck, and he's the breadwinner for the family. And, he's crushing, probably, 50K in the bank or whatever, family of 4, like you can eat through that super quickly. Yep. So like, and now you're in scramble mode. Like what if your wife hasn't worked for 10 years, like this is really scary stuff, and it's really real. So like we're on this, cycle, on this treadmill in real estate. And, at the end of the day, like unfortunately, like you're going to have to get off the treadmill eventually. Right. So are you going to save all your commissions your whole life? Are you going to even be consistent enough to save a commission? And it's like, if you're not, you're probably going to fail out of this business. That's why the fail rate's so high. So, for them to, start building all these little pillars in your business between the stock and the revenue share and, your agent attraction and, your network in this business, where now it's like, now you've got a direct connection to all these people that aren't making 300 or 600 grand a year, but they're making that, multiple times every single month. Yeah. So, it really like leveled up my mindset to like what I even perceived to be possible. And like, I realized how, not diversified we are, just as like a solo agent, like in Phoenix. Yeah. So it's like what the Phoenix market's doing, the Phoenix market sucks, like business is tough. If the Phoenix market's great, like you're doing great, but like, how can I diversify myself as like a business, create like multiple streams of income through it? And, God forbid I break my leg or something, like, I'm not going to be in scramble mode because I've built a team, I've built a company, I've got revenue share, I've got stock, I've got all these components in the business to where, I might not have to work till I'm 65, and like live on my savings. Right. So that's, to me, like that was the biggest part about it all, or like at all these brokerages, and, a pretty high level of success, in comparison to most of the percentage of agents out there. It's, it's a struggle. Like you go out, you make 100 grand, you make 200 grand. It is what it is. But, you gotta pay your taxes at the end of the year after that. may or may not have a whole lot of expenses, and life's expensive.
Yeah.
So you can burn that money really, really quick, and it's like, okay, great. Like I hustled and I crushed it, and it's like, now you got 10 grand to show for it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are we doing? How long do we want to play that game? And, I played that game for 6-7 years before I started to like kind of click a little bit like, hey, like, I've got to figure this thing out,
Sure.
and how can I diversify myself and start growing, as an organization, and like start building a business. And it's like, the answer to me was never go open a brokerage and, sign up a bunch of agents. It's always been like, I want to invest in real estate, grow a team, help other people. And here it all was, just like sitting right under our nose. And it just took us, the time of day to say, let's talk about it.
That's it, having an open mind.
Yeah.
It took us having an open mind. You nailed it perfectly. We had to really look at it with an open mind and not just exit out of the page the moment you saw the 80-20. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what we all do in life in general, not just in real estate. We assume that we know what we're talking about, or we know whatever we're looking at. And a lot of times we're wrong, and it takes us putting our ego away, putting our pride away, and really looking at different opportunities to say, man, is this a better opportunity than where I'm currently at? And am I humble enough to even see that, right? Or is my ego, my pride in the way? And I've been at the same brokerage for 10 years, and you couldn't talk me out of anything, even if it was, it's just like really looking at it. So I love that, dude. I also love like the metaverse. I think that's really cool.
Sure.
The broker support's really awesome in my opinion. I think that like, dude, the broker support's, I can literally go onto my computer into the metaverse as like an avatar. I could drive a boat as an avatar too, which is really dope. I'm a real estate agent, like driving in like the Atlantic Ocean, I'll like pull up to another boat, like talk to another agent from like friggin' a different country.
Right.
They're like in their boat, like fishing, I'm like, yo, like how's the market? You know what I mean? Which I think that's actually really dope. And they created that. Glenn Sanford created that like a long time ago.
10 years ago.
Like 10 years ago, which is nuts. Cause like now Facebook and everybody's like Meta,
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. The support's obviously really good. I really think, at least in our market, we have a ton of brokers. It's not just one broker. There's multiple brokers. You can basically always get an answer to your question. A lot of times you can call the broker on their freaking cell phone at 8 o'clock at night when they're with their family, and they'll answer the phone, which was mind-boggling to me because EXP is a big brokerage.
Yep.
Like you said, 80, 90,000 agents. Like, holy cow, like this broker literally just answered their phone at 8 o'clock at night, and I can hear the kids in the background.
Right.
But like, and they're nice, and they're helpful, and they're awesome, and they know you. Like they actually learn who you are and stuff, and I think that's obviously really cool. So, dude, I think, without a shadow of a doubt, like EXP is a phenomenal, to the point where like you're starting to see other people trying to become EXP now.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, man, like I think it's going to be hard to ever like do what they've done. They're just a behemoth now. They're a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. Like, dude, like 90,000, I think they're actually the fastest growing brokerage ever to exist in terms of like month over month, like agent count, like joining.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's ever actually been another brokerage, even like Keller Williams, when they were growing at the fastest that they ever grew. I think they were growing at like half of the number that EXP is like currently growing today.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
I believe it.
Yeah, like insane. So, dude, I love that, man. I think it's phenomenal. I want to kind of go like shift gears a little bit and talk about, obviously you are working with all of our agents every day, right? Mm-hmm. And we have agents on our team that crush it, and we have agents that don't, right? And, I'm curious, like, your opinion, and I don't even have to name names. There's, like let's just say one or two agents, and there's probably more, but there's one or two that they typically are here, right? And they're sitting over in the corner, you know who they are, a male and a female. And I'm sure we have more now. But these two in particular, like, I know that if we handed a phenomenal lead to them, to either one of them, that they would do everything they could to close that freaking deal. Like, they would get the deal done, right? And then we have agents where I'm not so sure about that, In your opinion, like, because the two agents I'm talking about, dude, they're new to the business.
Right.
What's the difference? Like, you sit down, you do one-on-ones with all these agents, you talk to agents. Like, what separates agents from getting into the business and crushing it, and agents who get into the business and they just can't figure it out for the life of them? Like, have you noticed any trends with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just at the end of the day, like, it comes down to, like, first and foremost, like, how badly do you actually want it? Everybody talks a big talk, everybody talks a big game, and at the end, I want to come in, I want to make 250 grand in real estate,
right?
And a lot of people don't necessarily understand what goes into that, because this business is glamorized, super glamorized. Just like there's so many businesses that are, And there's so many agents every single day that get their license that are buying into this business because of the glamour. You know, like you go look at a selling sunset, you know, you go look in a little bit of the background of that. It's like half those houses aren't even for sale, but they're advertising to, you know, the public basically that they're, you know, expected commissions $450,000, right? So you get into this business and you start doing some math and you're like, oh, well, the average sales price in my market's, you know, 600 grand, and, you know, 3% of 600's X. And, you know, I could at least sell 4 or 5, you know, 10, maybe 10, you know, houses a year, right? And so there's this big, like, maybe mentality that comes into this business. And you just get slammed so quickly. You know, we're in a business that's very old school. Agents do not have a good track record historically. You know, most people are very guarded. They don't want to deal with us. You know, it's similar to a car dealership, right? So like everybody dreads going into that car dealership. No one enjoys it, right? So the agents that are new, that want it, that want to show up, that they understand that rejection's a part of the game. They can keep their, you know, head on their shoulders when they're, you know, on the phone and they get crammed, you know, and get, you know, pinched into a corner. But it's like, it's your willingness to deal with rejection first and foremost. Like how well can you handle that? And then second, it's like, how consistent are you actually willing to be? Because you know, a lot of people will come in and they'll say they want to grind, you know, and they'll get after it. And it's like, great, they grind for a week and realize what that means. And then they won't be here on week 2. Right. So, you know, if there's one thing that's like consistent between the agents that crush it and the agents that don't, it's, you know, the agents that do, they're willing to do whatever it takes, right? Like I could give them the worst lead that we possibly have right now, and I'll know that they are definitely the most, you know, likely to be able to convert that deal into something real and tangible. You know, other people, I can give you the best possible lead we have at the moment, and, you know, you call it once, you leave a voicemail, you never call it again. Yeah. You know, so, and if you've got that mentality of like, it's easy and you think it's simple to get your license and get in the business, like you're not going to last very long. So, you know, a lot of that has everything to do with this business, and you've got to grind it out your first years. Like there's no easy way in. But yeah, that's,
I think it's phenomenal. I think you're like, it's right. It's dead on with what I figured, you know, and what I see every day, but I love getting different perspectives on it. You know, it's like everything you just said is so simple, and it's like, it blows me away. But then, you know, I always go back to like what somebody told me a long time ago. They're like, Austin, what's simple in life to do is simple not to do. Yep. What's easy to do is easy not to do. Right? Because it's the little things. It's Duke, like you just mentioned. It's like the people that are killing it in our organization. One of the things I notice every day is they're here every day.
Right.
Like, wow, that is really simple.
Yeah.
I got to wake up and get in my car and go to the office. Gee whiz, like, you know what I mean? And so it's like, and you know, you'll see somebody else that isn't here, like you said, for weeks on end. And then they wonder why nothing's happening. And there's so many factors that play into that. And, you know, their energy's off because they're not hanging around the right people. And the people that are here are hanging around amazing. The culture is great. And so they have good energy. And, you know, there's a lot of reasons for that. But I think you're 100% right. I think that, you know, it's really simple to be successful, but it's consistency. You got to put in the work. You got to grind.
Yeah.
You got to grind. And you got to be good with people, I think. Like, you know, in my opinion, I think that there are people that have to work harder to be good with people. Yep. Straight up. You know, we've met those people where it's like, dude, you're not gifted with people. Right. But you could get good.
Yeah.
But like, you got to work harder than the next guy. You know, and in human history, we've seen that forever and ever and ever. You've seen phenomenal basketball players that, you know, shouldn't have been phenomenal basketball players, but they were determined and they did.
Yeah.
You know, sports, movie actors, all kinds of people that should have never gotten as great as they did, but they were so committed that they did. Mm-hmm. Right? And so I think it's just about, like you said, man, like that dedication, that grit, like just putting in that freaking work, you know?
100%.
So I love that, dude. What in your opinion, you know, obviously here we are, it's July of 2022, the market's shifting. Mm-hmm. We're feeling that, right?
Yeah.
We can feel that, like, hey, man, like interest rates are going up. I think they dropped a little bit, but they're going up 5, 6, whatever percent they are at now. Inventory, at least I know in Phoenix, obviously has basically tripled?
Yeah, just about.
It was triple. I think we're at what, 15,000?
Yeah.
What were we down to in the very low?
I think the lowest I ever saw was like 35.
That's what I think I saw
3,500.
Yeah, 3,500.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we Phoenix Metropolitan, like how many people, do you have any idea, like 6 million, 7 million in Phoenix Metro, something like that?
Well, and it's 200 plus people moving here every single day.
Right.
So
with 3,500 houses. So that was obviously at the all-time low. Now we're at like 15,000. Interest rates are going up a bit. Like, in your opinion, what can agents do? What can people do? What investors? I mean, whoever, to succeed in the market that we're going into now?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I think it comes down to is like educate yourself, right? Because people in these markets that aren't easy to transact in, like, understand first and foremost that the world goes on, right? Like, whether rates are high or rates are low, or housing prices are high or housing prices are low, people need to transact in real estate. And when things are tough and when things tighten up, it's no more, oh, my cousin's my agent, or like, mom or dad or whoever, like, they have their license, they can help me out. Those people start to fizzle out of the business, right? Because they've got to buckle down, they got to go make money somewhere else now. So educate yourself so you can be the pro, right? Because people will need confidence, that are coming into that are coming in to like come sell their property. Yeah. It's one of probably the biggest asset they have for most people, and they're going to need the help and they're going to need the education. So it's like, educate yourself on the current market conditions, on the interest rates, on inflation, as to why things are doing what they're doing, and then understand how to unpack people's needs, right? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How long do you plan on staying? Why are we selling, right? Like, there's a lot of variables that you need to be like the true advisor right now. And that shines through. Like, if you're winging it right now and you're newer, or whether you have a little bit of experience or not, and you don't know what rates are, you don't know how many homes are on the market, you don't know, what's happening. When you go sit down with somebody you're sitting at the kitchen table and they're needing advice on what to do with their largest investment that they've been paying off for 10, 15, 20 years, and you don't know the answers to this stuff, you don't know what the next street over is called, you don't know what the school, so
it's tough.
You're winging it, and it gets really, really hard really quick. So educate yourself first and foremost, and know how to be that true advisor, and how to unpack people's needs.
I think that's really important. Yeah, because and we talk about it all the time. Like, real estate, we're just in the people business at the end of the day, right? And the more people you network with, the more people you talk to, the more people you run into, the more new relationships you create, and the more you really just care about other human beings. And like you said, know what you're talking about.
Right.
The more business you're gonna do. I mean, straight up, like, dude, I'll go sit in the steam room at Lifetime Fitness and sell a house. Like, it's not that hard, right? Because the dude next to me probably owns a house, and like, dude, we just start to happen to me 100 times. Like, we just start talking, one thing leads to the next, and we're, he's getting my number, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what I'm talking about. I sound educated, And I think people overcomplicate it again, which is just crazy. It blows my mind every day how complicated people make it when it just ain't that complicated, So I love that, dude. In your opinion, moving into the market we're going into now, agents, should they be focused? For the longest time, obviously, everybody wanted the listing. Nobody wanted to work with the friggin' buyer, especially in the market we just came out of, right? Because, dude, if you worked with a buyer in the market we just came out of, basically, if they weren't making a cash offer, waiving everything, then there's no shot. Like, let's not even work together, right? We're competing up against 50 other offers. But now the market's shifting and things are changing a bit. Like, should agents start working more with buyers again? Should they still focus on sellers? Like, what if they were to have a focus, or should they just do it all? If you've ever wondered where we skip trace all of our data, we actually use batchskiptracing.com. We skip trace millions of records on a monthly and annual basis, and this is how we do the wholesale volume that we do. This is also how we do so much volume in the retail real estate industry as well. Without good contact information, how are you ever supposed to get a hold of the homeowner? Again, we use batchskiptracing.com for all of our skip tracing solutions. And as you can tell, Batch has the best quality data in the industry. And good quality data is arguably one of the most important things that you can have as a real estate agent or real estate investor. When you use batchskiptracing.com, before you check out, make sure to use the discount code Zaback, Z-A-B-A-C-K, for a discount. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to like the personality of the agent, I think, at the end of the day. But like, in my opinion, I tend to do what people don't do, So like, if everybody's on the right, I'm going to be on the left. If everybody's on the left, I'm going to be on the right. So like right now, as everybody's like attracted to the buyer model, all of a sudden it's like, don't forget that people still need to sell. Right. So like, if everybody's moving towards, buyers again. Now, leads are going to get a lot more expensive. Everybody's going to start searching and preying upon that buyer, right? So, but a lot of our buyers from the past years are now going to be sellers, right? If you've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers or whatever, they get married, they have kids. Now they don't fit in the 1,200 square foot house anymore. They don't fit in the 1,000 square foot house, right? So those people are going to need to be selling. And, it's just like, I think genuinely just people need, good help, good advice. And they're going to want to be, working with like the true pro that's not way too busy for them and not have no clue what they're doing. Yeah. So I think it's just knowing, your wherewithal of like which area you prefer to work with best. But for some agents, they might want to be like, hey, no matter up or down market, I love working with buyers. I want to do buyers. I refer all my listings, and that's great. Because like if you focus on your one thing, you can go really, really fast.
Sure.
But it really just comes down to the personality traits of the agent and like what they're like seeking. Some people want to hold 20 listings at a time and never have a buyer.
Right.
They'll refer all their buyers out. So it's just like, most agents will be this kind of more or less 50-50, kind of like float somewhere in the middle, but it's really hard to be really great at everything.
Sure.
So, we've got buyer programs, we've got seller programs, but, we just provide options. We're really good at unpacking what the seller needs, what the buyer might need, and then providing them with a bunch of options that are not risky at all for them. So, that's what it comes down to, and then just pointing the client to the best possible person. Because the best possible person might not be me or you.
Sure.
So that needs to be, they need to be redirected to the right person, and that's sort of like our fiduciary comes back into this business. We're not always the best answer for people.
Right.
So that's like in the beginning of my story, like I didn't feel like I was genuinely the best buyer's agent for, the buyer. I've never been to Santa Ana Valley, but sure, I'll go say yes.
Right.
So it's just like, how much value was I really to those clients, So, and that hurt me personally. So I wanted to really be able to provide as much as I possibly could. So I think it comes down to just, be the best version of the agent you want to be,
Yeah.
So,
Dude, I love that, man. I think it's honest. It's transparent. It's what it really, I love the answer of like who you are, like you should hone in on and like really exploit that. Right. So like if you're inherently phenomenal, like you're super bubbly and you're great with people, like, then maybe you want to be out showing houses all the time to buyers, and just like you're in your car all the time. Like, so I agree with just like whatever you're really good at, like focus and double down on that. Totally agree with that, man. I know that we're getting a little bit long here, so I'll do like another question or two and then we'll wrap up. But in your opinion, like in 2022, if somebody's looking at the real estate industry, let's just say, is a question that came to my mind, and they're contemplating becoming an agent, right? They're watching YouTube videos. Maybe they're watching this video right here, and they're working a different job. They're working a 9 to 5. I don't know. Who knows what they're doing? When would it make sense? Like when, because you said it best a minute ago, right? The failure rate's friggin' 86% failure rate after 2 years or something like that. I mean, it's horrible, right? Which means 14% of people stay in the business. That's not how many people make money in the business. That's how many people stay an agent. Like they renew their license, right? So we're talking what? Half or a third of that 14% are people that make any money, and then another half of that probably make good money, right? So we're at like what, 1-2%,
right?
You said a little while ago that agents, they get into the business, they fail, whatever. It maybe isn't. It's glamorized, right? Like, how can agents know without going through the pain and agony of going through this schooling and all this crap? How can they know ahead of time, like, if this is really the right industry for them? Is there some methodology that they can they look in the mirror? I mean, what can they do? What questions can they ask themselves? Like what?
I mean, you said it a minute ago too, but it's like we're in the people business, at the end of the day. So like if you're a person that likes dealing with people, maybe you've been a bartender, maybe you've been a server and enjoyed it, it wasn't miserable for you and you're dealing with people and some problems, on a minor level. This probably is a job for you, because you like being people facing, you like being, in front of people, you like being outgoing, so this is a business for somebody that is, happy to show up and do something, but it's also a business for someone that understands, like, I have to have work ethic. It's not for a person that wants to sell 1 or 2 houses a year and, if I sold 2 houses at $600,000, that's more than my salary right now, and I could just chill for the rest of the year. Cause like it never happens, it doesn't happen that way, cause they realize it's it's hard to get the one $700,000 client that's like actually going to trust you with this investment.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the people that it's for. If it's not for you, if like you feel stuck and you're making 50K and but you're not really outgoing, you're kind of reclusive or introverted, or you're scared to pick up the phone, like the people that can pick up the phone, that are ready to go out there, like ready to make a fool of themselves, or willing to learn, can deal with the rejection, all that stuff. Like this is all what builds up a great agent, and that you have to go through those trials and tribulations, and that's the small percentage of people that make it, but the agents that love it because they want to go sell one $3 million house and make 90 grand and, live a great lifestyle for the rest of the year. It's like, it's not going to happen, unless that's your network and, one person that's going to go sell a, $5 million house or whatever. And you can run with that 120 grand and, go do whatever you're going to do, then great. Like, go ahead and do it, get your freaking license and go list the house. But the reality of like that sense is like, oftentimes, like if they even trust you with that listing, it's probably not going to sell because you're probably not going to know how to sell it.
Yeah.
And if you're chasing the 90 grand on a luxury deal like that, or 100 grand or whatever it might be, you're probably going to also go to a brokerage that doesn't really know how to support you with that sale. If you're trying to chase the full commission amount and you don't want to split up your money and like it's all about the money, you're going to probably struggle with that deal really, really badly. And then now your connection doesn't like you so much, and you might have just burned a way more valuable bridge just by like going and chasing the commission. So, it's this business is like, it's a grind, and there's no easy part of it. You've got to be strong psychologically and, be able to get through the roller coaster of emotions that comes with this business. So, you really got to be a strong personality.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think you hit the nail right on the head. You said it literally perfect. I mean, people person, you're strong, you're tough. You're consistent in other areas of your life. You're committed to it, right? You're all in. You're not like one toe in. Like you see a lot of people that get in the industry, they're like one toe. They're like, I'll try it out. It's like, then don't try it out. Like,
right.
It's not for you. And I tell people that, like straight up, but I met a guy here a few months back and he's like, yeah, I want part-time, blah, blah, blah. And like, I literally am like, dude, like I would just like keep doing what you're doing. Like, this isn't for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cause like, it might sound harsh or blunt, but like, that's genuinely how I feel.
Right.
Like, it's not for you, so I totally agree, man. I'll do like one more final question that I have, and that is, you're sitting down with agents all the time, new agents that have been in the business for a long time. What, in your opinion, is like the thing that agents can go practically do to talk to people, generate leads? There's so many things people can do, right? From friggin' pay-per-click to Facebook to Instagram to open houses to their sphere of influence to like whatever, If you could just pick one, though, if you were like, hey, man, like if you did this one thing consistently for a year, like you're going to make money. Like, what is that one thing? If you had to pick one.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many parts of this business, but like what I found is a lot of agents, and like kind of a little off topic here, but like a lot of agents will do one thing until it works and then stop and then try something new. Right. So it's like the one thing really has to be the mindset of being, I'm going to be super consistent with whatever it is that I choose. Right. Because like all these teams out there, and we've got our calls every Monday that we're talking to people that go from 3 million to 30 million, and like we hear new stories like this every single week. So and like what I've noticed consistently between them is they follow the paint by numbers system on how this business works, and it's like all of these things work. Some are more expensive, some cost nothing, and it's like, what's the one thing that you enjoy as like being an agent the most? That's like the lightest and the most fun. That's going to be the thing. If you're super consistent with that one area of business, you're going to succeed, much quicker and be able to thrive off that one aspect. Right.
Then if you pick something you're not any good at, I agree.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like some agents will be really like, if you want to like get listings, like you basically need to get really good on the phones. It doesn't really matter if you're cold calling, if you're calling FSBOs, expired, cancel listings, whatever. You need to be good on the phone because the listing appointment generally comes from you being on the phone. If you hate the phone, you're probably going to be a buyer's agent.
Right.
So you probably need to get really, really good at open houses, and networking and, doing all this stuff. So, I think really it just whatever thing you're going to pick, all these things are very present. It's the highly successful people that do the one thing and they do it really, really well because it's light and fun to them. It's not dark.
Yeah.
They don't dread, cold calling, and they make all their money cold calling. They're not going to make any money cold calling because you don't like it,
Yeah.
And you're not going to make as many calls, right? So
And we see that every day.
yeah. So just finding your area of the business that's fun to you, right? If you don't think any of it's fun, like jump out now,
right?
So like this has to be a fun environment. And, if you can create some success for yourself, like you can create some success for others, and you'll just get, repeat clients. It gets a lot easier as you continue to go, through this business. So, but yeah,
I love that, dude. I think it's a phenomenal answer. I think that, yeah, dude, if you could get through the first couple of years and make some money in real estate, like you can go all the way.
Yeah.
Like you got to get through those first couple of years. You got to make some money. You got to be able to pay your bills, like have fun doing it. Right. And then you're good. You can build on that. Like now you've got a little book of business. You sell 10, 15, 20 houses, whatever. And they got family, they got friends, they're going to rebuy, resell, whatever. And they got referrals, and you can start to build on that. Right. But you gotta just grind it out, man. Yeah. I really like what you said about, in multiple instances, you really put the question back on like, hey, like, what is the agent good at? What's their personality type? Like, and really making those different decisions based off of that. And I think that's really cool because I think there's a lot of people that just force somebody into a box. Like, dude, they'll take somebody that is like horrible with people, and it's like you have to go sit 4 open houses a week, right?
Right.
And it's like, man, that might not be the right thing. Maybe they actually are better on the phone, you know, and they can go meet a one-on-one like listing appointment, right? But they're not good when there's 19 people in the open house and they got to talk to everybody at the same time, right? So I agree, man. Like looking at what you're good at, what your strong suits are, where you're weak, and really honing in on that and focusing on that. I completely agree. Well, I love it, dude. Is there anything else that you want to share here today with the audience, with as it pertains to anything, a piece of advice or really anything at all that you can think of?
No, I think it just wherever you're at in this business, just like keep an open mindset, because I know I talked about it before, and it's, it's not all about the money, but it's like at the end of the day, I didn't even know like it existed, to be able to make, residually all sorts of, money from helping more people, so like I was always just like, okay, how can I sell more houses, close more deals, and it's like, because we were open enough to sit down and talk to somebody else about like what's working really well for them at a very high level, like that opens so many doors so quickly. So I think it's just really just like keeping the open mind, whether you're selling 20 houses a year or 200 houses a year. Some of the guys in our upline now are, they close multi-billion-dollar like brokerages with 1,000+ agents, and close the doors. And he's like, come over if you want to come over, but we're going to be at a new brokerage soon. And these are people that are extremely high level. And then you've got, the guy that's brand new in the game and he doesn't want to move because he's trying to keep, $2,000 a deal in his pocket. Right. It's like, the mind isn't very open. So, the people that are like that and are closed off, it's like, great, like keep doing what you're doing. That's fine. But it's like just keeping an open mind, feel free, like reach out, let us know whatever it is that you need. We say it all day long and we like mean it, so like, please like reach out to us and, hit us up if, you've got my Instagram, my name, my number, all my stuff. So please feel free to, hit us up and let us know what you need. And we're happy to help you out with whatever.
Man, I love that. And all your information will be down below.
Sweet.
In every, no matter where you're watching the video, Dylan's information will be down below. And we could talk for hours, dude, but I think that we covered a lot in this particular episode. So drop in the comment section down below, if there's anything we didn't talk about that you want to hear, drop it down below. Let us know. Like, we'll make videos on it. Like, Dylan's a couple offices over from me. And, we're really trying to do big things. And I'm really excited about where we're headed and what we're doing. And dude, I can't wait for the future, man. I can't wait to sit on this show and we're the billion-dollar producers that we are talking about, right?
Right.
And, dude, we'll help, thousands of people. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man. So I'm really excited for that. And I appreciate you being on the show, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.